Today we're doing a wrap on Think and Grow Rich. We've already read all 15 chapters, and though there's some nuggets in here that many of you want to talk about. And in fact, Carrie popped up right out of the gate. So Carrie, what did you want to talk about? Let's get into it.
I don't know. I just saw so many of these and I was like, oh my God, we should be talking about any of these. There's so many.
As what?
I don't know. There's so many that I have.
So many what, Carrie? Because I just started the recording. So everybody who wasn't here or who's watching this in recording has no idea. You get to go back and recap.
So in Think and Grow Rich, and the very last chapter, 55 famous alibis. And then these are like basically all the excuses that we've used to avoid doing the work, basically. And there's been so many. I'm pretty sure I've used.
So, and here's the fun part. You also talked about the questions. And so there was the self-analysis test questions too, right? That was before that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So where do you want to begin diving into this, Miss Carrie?
Oh, I didn't want to start.
I know. Isn't it fun?
Well, I used to just think that, or not think, but I used to be like, oh my God, I'm doing two things. I can't do them at once. Like, like having a job. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is why I shouldn't talk, because there's people remodeling a bathroom and they're cutting tile.
That's awesome. We can't hear it.
Like, I can't even hear what you're saying.
Well, let's dive into this real quick, because I love maybe spending today as we recap on the self-analysis test questions, as well as the 57 famous alibis by Old Man If. I always love all these ifs. Another place we've played with them, by the way, in previous rooms and in previous places, is we call them yeah buts. Instead of if by Old Man if I didn't have a wife and family, a lot of people instead say, yeah, but I have a wife and family. If I didn't have enough money, yeah, but I don't have the money. They cover both of those. And just curious if you guys will dive into these, both the self-analysis test questions and the if, or as I love to call them, yeah, buts. Which one jumped off the page at you? Which ones maybe have you seen in your life, or which of these self-analysis questions really got you thinking differently about maybe there's something you can shift in your world right now? Again, it's your guys' room. What do you have? Miss Beth, I always love you jump. Isn't it done? Beth is shown back up today. The prodigal daughter has returned.
I wasn't sure if that was a regular thing, but I was like, Beth is here.
You know why, Don, is because I had pizza with your mom last night. And we got to talking about how to start our day. And I was reminded about Coach Russ, and she was reminded about how much she loves her dear sweet Russ.
Wait, that's Beth? Hey, Beth. Whoa.
Hey, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Best. Oh my God. It's amazing. And what's really fun is I absolutely love Think and Grow Rich. Now, it's been a couple of days since I read it. And the real practical side of just controlling your mind. But what's really interesting about that process, to me anyways, isn't necessarily so much the specific words and the specific excuses we use. And I found this in myself, and it's one of my aha moments, is that I don't speak to myself. I feel stuff first, and then my brain kicks in, right? So I feel the anxiety, and then my brain assigns value to it and explains it to me. And before I know what I'm doing, I've got a chocolate bar in my hand. And I haven't connected the choice points between how I felt, what my brain did, and what I'm holding in my hand. And what the cool thing about the book is it really slows down that process, at least it did for me, slows down the whole process of just the, knee-jerk reaction, feel, think, act. And that just the injecting the conversation first at least allowed me the space to see what was going on and actually do something about it if I chose to, right? And that choice is where all glory is, in my opinion.
Well,
Before
not in
Russ gets
opinion,
all
in the fact.
Before Russ gets all serious on this, I want to ask one question that popped up from what you said, Beth. And I want to know what kind of chocolate bar popped in your hand.
Is there any other chocolate bar than a Snickers chocolate bar? Really? It's got everything.
I had to ask. I just wanted to know what, if you were at Mom's house last night, Kit Kat is her favorite. So
It is, but she doesn't like to share so much. You kind of got to bring your own chocolate to your mom's house.
And even just like chocolate, everything's about choices, right? And
Absolutely.
I mean, one of the biggest parts of this content is the choices we're making and how those are showing up. And again, from Coach Russ's perspective, I'm never going to pass judgment, good or bad, on your choices. I'm going to instead pass, how's it working out for you? How's it serving you? Is it truly goal achieving, or is it just tension relieving? Is it going towards opportunity, or is it holding you back in this little security space?
And do you realize that you made the choice?
Burn time. And of course, my internet's still playing nice. Beth, I heard you speak up.
Well, no, and to my point earlier, do you realize that you're making a choice? You're not a hapless victim. You didn't just find yourself in some place in time or activity. Do you realize the choice that you made to get there? And boy, slowing down that process at least gives you the opportunity to look at it and see, okay, do I want to do that? Or does it serve my purpose and my goals that I've said I wanted to achieve to do something else? And slowing down that thing has changed my life 180 degrees.
Wow.
Crickets. That's awesome.
I think I got you back. Can you guys give me a thumbs up, Celeste, if you can hear me?
Mhm.
Perfect. Because I want to take this into some of these self-analysis test questions. Because again, every one of these test questions is about your choices. Do you complain often of feeling bad? And if so, what is the cause? By the way, that complaining is a choice. Are you deliberate in avoiding the association of anyone? If so, why? One of my favorites in here. Do you like your occupation? If not, why? I've heard a lot of people the last 12 months complaining about the market, about the industry, about the lawsuit. All that negative language is probably poisoning your attitude about what you get to do for a living. Think about this. At least for most of you in here that are in the real estate space, you get to talk to people all day and get unlimited income if you just do that. What else you guys have from the content, or especially these self-analysis test questions or old man if?
Can I add something here?
Go for it, Celeste.
So in the conversation we had yesterday, the conversation led to what we were going to be doing today, which was simply a review of the book. And in that mindset, I was like, I really feel like I didn't take in the first part of the book the way I wanted to. And as I was up and going today, I started listening to the book. I had it in my shower. I listened while I was getting ready, and I found myself the privilege of listening again to this book I've already read, but to hear it differently this next time around was almost as if it was a storybook. And it was taking me on the adventure of the person who wrote it, which is Napoleon Hill, and all of the influences that he had from different people, including his son. Because we forget that one of his stories talked about where his son had no ears. He was told he was not going to have the ability to listen or hear. And his mindset was, I don't believe that, or I don't want to believe that. And so that came apart, or not came apart, but there's a section on the book that just simply talks about belief. And I tabbed the book because that specific spot I want to read, because this to me is really the crux of everything. And there is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, and belief. And when I think of some of the people that I've met throughout the years and how I affected their lives, and I could even call it infected their lives with a sense of my own positivity where they didn't see it. And they came through on the other side saying, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't helped me. And I'm talking about my clients, but I could also say in my mission to help other new agents get their feet underneath them or get their wings, flapping. My job isn't something that I walk into every day going, oh, damn, I got to do this. I see it as I believe that I'm here for a purpose. I believe the people I'm working with have something special. And it's really their own mindset that sets them either they're in the top 20% or they're in the other part. And I'm here to just shove them out the nest.
Well, I love how you talked about from the content and even from your own life, pushing back on what is supposedly the truth, the fact. In 1491, the world was
flat.
Right? It was flat. The science, the evidence, the document. If you thought differently, you were considered mentally ill, crazy, and were locked up until someone said, I don't believe it. And they put everything on the line to prove it. They went all in, as we've talked about in earlier chapters. Napoleon Hill went all in on. Go, Celeste.
I just have to add, even this book, Mastermind, we had to have belief or faith that we could be in this book club and actually read all the books we've read. And if you had asked me in July of last year that we're going to be reading up to, 23 books by the, end of next year, I would have said, you must be, something's mentally wrong with you because I don't read. I read articles, but have I ever read a book? I mean, I avoided reading books like the plague. And especially this book, this is an example. When I read the title of this book, I got this book from this guy. He put his own face on the cover. I got this book and I wouldn't read it. I wouldn't open it up because I was like, oh, I can't read. I'm not going to do that. I have been transformed. I am transformed by the fact that I now believe I can do it. And if I can do this, what else can I do?
Absolutely. And here's the fun part, which is why we built this mastermind the way we have, is we're doing incremental work every day. We're doing time on task over time.
Yep.
And it's a mastermind. We're just using content to facilitate the conversation. And yet by doing that, Celeste, I just want to correct you and everybody else that's in here. You are not reading. You have become a reader. It's who you are now because of time on task over time. Imagine, and I was thinking about you today, Celeste, that 2 to 5 o'clock, you showed up every day and led that conversation time. All of a sudden, you would be a conversationalist and a leader. You wouldn't be doing the work. Wyatt, you're on, and then I think, Don, you're up next. Carrie, I'm going to come back to you.
Okay, so just really quickly about what Celeste was saying. I remember I was reading a parable in the Bible, and it was a guy who was ill, and his friends took off the roof of a house and lowered him into the house. Jesus never addressed the guy who was ill. He addressed his friends and basically said, your faith is something that's going to assist him. Belief, motivation, positiveness can be borrowed. It is currency. If you do not believe you have it, literally find someone who does and borrow theirs. You're allowed to do that in this crazy, dark world that many of us live in.
That's awesome.
Find someone that believes in you more than you do. Every one of you that have ever been in a room with me back in the old red days, we had a very specific conversation on day one when I put my hand on your shoulder to anchor it and said, I promise to stand for your greatness and your potential stronger than you hold on to any limiting belief. I made that commitment to each and every one of you face to face in those spaces, and that commitment lives today. Don Hobbs is in the same place with you guys, especially Carrie, who's got the next mic. Then I'll go to Don.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that the in the part where there's questions, not the self-analyst, but it says, and I think it's really good for the end of the day. It says, against your own mic, has today added anything of value to your stock of knowledge or state of mind? We need to do that every night before we go to bed or when we're feeling super shitty that day. That's what I think. That's awesome.
That's a beautiful one. By the way, these might be things that you write down in your journals that you all should be doing that you then get to review. And I would even plus it. How has today added even more? Because you and I both know there's some nugget every single day that you've learned from, hasn't there been, Carrie?
Yeah, that's a
Love
powerful
you
one.
here. Don Hawks, you're up, brother.
Well, listen, a couple things. Russ, first of all, that was a really powerful ending to that, because having that journal that you begin, and again, it's not having a journal, it's having all the journals that you build through a lifetime, right? I just moved out, some of you know, we have a floor leak, and so we're out of our house, we're in an Airbnb, and so I don't have it here, but if you, under normal circumstances, you'd look right behind me, and there's a whole row of journals and a whole other set of journals, and that's like a lifetime. So imagine if you had the best ideas from everything you've ever done. If you, from this point forward, were to use this inspiration that Russ just gave you, or this book, maybe the inspiration for it, to say, what if I captured the very best ideas, my thoughts, and every day was writing in this book my life and the things that were important? Because what's interesting about mine, and I did get a chance, I just sort of was inspired to pick up a couple of the old ones, and I looked at them and I was like, isn't it interesting that that was important to me then, and how much awareness I have now compared to what. So remember the gap and the gain. Some of you were in for that book, The Gap and the Gain, and we don't see ourselves grow because we can't see our own growth. That's why we go as a kid and we put our heads against the the door jams and we put the little mark, and then a few months later we have another mark, because that shows our growth. Well, these are your growth points. These are the things that demonstrate your growth. This is where you're capturing the best ideas from whether it's Russ or each other. I mean, just the golden. Okay, I wanted to go back though, and Russ, I want to make sure that we have enough time to announce the stuff for tomorrow and all of that. So I don't know that this is the ending comment, but I want to go back.
Yet, but I'll make sure we have the time. I promise.
Okay, I want to go back to where Beth started this, which was, she feels something, then she thinks something, so that, we called it this piece where, my programming, right? My programming leads to my thoughts lead to my feelings lead to my actions. And then that
gives us our results.
Gets me the results, right? So then we've got
results come back as more program.
Right. So if I get great results, I'm going, see, I know, I knew that was, or hey, maybe it's a new awareness. Oh, it's changing my beliefs by changing my programming, that I can do it. Celeste has become a reader. I can do it. Right. So what I wanted to go back to is the fact that the word choice came out of that, and I would just urge you guys to use this book, which was one of the foundational books of all personal growth. You have to understand, this was like the Bible of personal growth in its era. And has it lost its luster? I mean, to me, it's like, this is pure gold, right? This is gold, gold, gold. So go back and realize that everything you do is a choice. Okay, we say that. But I mean, I want you to be, I love what you said, Beth. Slow it down. Everything I'm doing is a choice. Choice to judge the comments here. Choice to read or not read. Choice, like every micro piece of our world, every thought we have all day long, everything that we do all day. It's not like I made a choice and I didn't save money. It was like a bunch of choices. It was a bunch of choices, right? It's not like I one day became a reader. I made a bunch of books. I made a bunch of choices to read and read and read and read and read and come to this group, even when I wasn't reading, to be inspired to the next day read, until time on task became my habit, and it became just who I am, and it's just what I do. So that is what I'm talking about, is I want you guys to realize that that's all a choice, every piece of it. And Beth, you woke me up. That was one of those things I was like, dang, like it's micro choices, all choices. It's choices and choices and choices on choices. All day, every day.
There's one other piece that I want to point out that Beth brought in, I think, unknowingly and unwittingly. The natural cycle is our programming leads to our thoughts. Our thoughts trigger the feelings. Feelings are what make us take action. Action gives us results, comes back to programming. Point FAR in its original NLB, programming, thoughts, emotions. So you could put an E instead, point here instead of point FAR. Beth, though, illustrated, you can also spin it backwards.
That's
so
right.
You take an action that gives you a feeling, you now think about and process and change some of your story, some of your programming.
There you go.
So the natural process is point FAR, and yet those in the advanced class, like Beth, are constantly also forcing it reverse, so they double the speed at which they are making forward moment in every aspect of their life. That being said, we have 2 minutes, so let's talk about tomorrow. So we have one of the grand poobahs of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, the keeper of all this. I attempted to find a medium, someone to hold a seance. Couldn't make that happen, so we couldn't get Napoleon Hill here for tomorrow. I apologize. So we got the second best, a real live human being who knows this material inside and out. Don, you want to give us any details about Mr. Don Green? And more importantly, what we need to do to help make it an amazing day tomorrow and where we're going to have that amazing day.
Okay, so a bunch of stuff. Don Green has been the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation for a number of years, a lot of years. He's the kind of keeper of it. He's an author himself. He speaks a lot on these subjects. He's an expert on it. He, as I understand it, and I didn't talk to him, he's an older gentleman. There is a chance that he had some influence directly from Napoleon Hill, but I do not know that to be true. Okay, so what I'm going to say is, first of all, if you're going to get it from anybody, you're not going to get it from anybody who knows it better than Don Green in the physical, in the flesh. Yes, seance set aside, communicating with the other worlds, that might be better, but right now we have Don Green. We're going to meet not here in this room. We're going to meet in Zoom with expertpartners.com. Zoom with expertpartners.com. For those that have it on the calendar, it's not on the calendar, by the way, that way. I'm not sure we can get it there fast enough. But the Monday Genes Generals, Monday Leadership Meeting, that's that room. So if you guys need to go to something that you can just click a link, that's the link. Okay.
If you don't remember and you show up here, we will make sure that we have this screened with the link. So even if you don't remember or something happens that it's not working for you, pop into this meeting room. The details will be on the screen so you can reload up the Zoom room.
Exactly. And Russ, if you can or somebody can, I think you're the only one that has control in this room, put the comment and pop it up on the screen as a pop up. So it'll be here tomorrow during that time. Okay.
I will get your help early with all that technology stuff.
Perfect. And Don is going to be here for longer than 30 minutes if we want him for more than 30 minutes. But again, some of you don't plan it that way. So I just want you to know he's going to hang around. He's going to be here. He'll answer your questions. Like, he's in for the discussion. He's not just going to preach to us. He's here for us. Now, that said, I think that what would be really awesome is if you guys would really think tonight about, like, what clarity do you want about different pieces, right? What things did you get hung up on? I was laughing about it last night, thinking about it, thinking, I know we took 3 days to go over the sex chapter. I thought that was hysterical. It wasn't really 3 days. It wasn't only sex, but it was, anyway, anything you guys want to bring up, you want to bring to the table tomorrow, bring it, okay? So, and then finally, who should be here tomorrow? Who is normally part of the morning mindset meetings and that has not been showing up lately, that you need to go and call and say, hey, I haven't seen you for a minute, get in here tomorrow? Who do you want to bring this to? It's in another company. It's a recruiting opportunity for those of you that care about such things. It's a helpful opportunity for those who care about such things. You can bring in people who are not part of real estate. I mean, this book has nothing to do with real estate, clearly. And so who needs to be here tomorrow? Okay.
So if I can maybe put a bow on this piece or these two pieces, because, you know, you've heard me say, don't say blah, blah, blah when blah will do. Come with questions. Bring people.
That was a great D description.
Thanks, Coach Russ.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's good. By the way, today, guys, for those in the XP world, and I'm looking around, I think it's a clean sweep today. We have the Epic Road to Success at 11 to 1, the new agent orientation. And for those that just need a refresher, holy crap, we have so much new stuff in there. Brianna, I'm expecting to see you there at 11 to 1. And if you haven't met Brianna, she's an awesome force in Colorado, and we're excited to have her on board. And anybody who wants to be there, it'll remind you of all the cool things. And there's some things you guys haven't even seen that we got today. Okay, 11 to 1. So we'll see you there tomorrow morning. Don Green, Russ, back to you.